adult, especially if it is on the internet and you can send them the video, especially when you can show that it's been ongoing. They have to investigate it. But the important thing is to go in with the victim, to turn it in with the victim, to get the person's name that you talk to, and to record the conversation. So that when they lie to you and try to blow you off and send you to someone else, you've got it recorded that that's exactly what they did. Now, here's how you can tell. All right? Things cops say when you turn in a cop, or any crime when you're homeless. Why do you need a report? Just tell me. I'll tell you if it's illegal. You need to leave. Now, mind you, there are many variants of these. Like the why do you need a report? Just tell me. I'll tell you if it's illegal. That's also the, what's the other version that they use? Screw it. I'll remember it in a minute, I'm sure. You need to leave. Yeah, they'll try to bully you into leaving, treating you like you're doing something inappropriate, like you're breaking the law. Now, these things, first of all, they're actually illegal to say to a disabled and homeless person. Not because we're homeless, but because we're disabled. When we're in duress, they're not allowed to bully us like this, and it is bullying, because they use this to interject everything that we're saying, and they say it with such horrible tones. They're letting us know they're not going to do their jobs. Why do you need a report? Just tell me. I'll tell you if it is illegal. Number 2, you need to leave. Number 3, tell me what you did wrong. That's right. Tell me what you did wrong. Victim blaming. I'm about to arrest you, or any threats of arrest, which is what happened with Officer McCoy when I was trying to get their names. He didn't like that very much, did he? He wanted to send me to mental health. Pretend like I'm schizophrenic. And all it takes is one officer. This can happen to any one of you. There's also the evidence that I'm not. And the evidence that police officers, like Burke and Jonas, thought that they could diagnose me after both of them had broken the law. Wanted to take me in on suicide watch instead of listening to what I was telling them and recording it like I was telling them needed to happen. She didn't tell me until later on when she arrested me that Burke was an officer who used to... Oh, someone from Virginia. Virginia is for lovers. Where's the last place I ever saw Natalie Bollinger? Virginia. That's right. All right. What else do police officers say? They say things like, oh, Corporal Mahoney's a doucher, just letting you know. I'm about to arrest you, or you are under arrest. That's right. They will arrest you for trying to turn in an officer, or they'll take you to a nuthatch and tell them that you're schizophrenic. Or they'll tell you we don't have paper reports, but then later on when you try to turn it into the higher ups, there's no papers and they'll refuse because you don't have any papers. Many of the agencies that I've tried to go to, because these places won't allow me the papers, or because they don't have the stamp showing that the sheriff has seen it. And with me having multiple recordings of the fact that the sheriff here won't look at anything, and neither will the police chief, that's pretty significant. But this stuff is all from when I was in Colorado, by the way. Let's see. We don't have paper reports. How do I know that isn't self-inflicted? Stop resisting. That's right. They will assault you and put you in severe quantities of pain, doing things like twisting your wrists sideways in the handcuffs. It's excruciating. When they put you in excruciating pain, it's called pain compliance. Anywhere else, it's called torture. And then they say, stop resisting. Whether you're resisting or not, you can't resist when they got you in one of them holds. Here's one. I believe my officers. I tell them, hey, I need you to look at the body cameras and I need copies of those body cameras. How do I get the body cameras? What is the legal route for me to get those body cameras? Sheriff? Oh, I'm not going to do that. I believe my officers. Really? So I got to get your signature for you to release to me the body cameras of an instance where your officers lied and intentionally misled the situation to assist known felons, many known felons, with knowingly, willingly, and intelligently harming an at-risk adult who is positively not a felon. And how many times did they do this? I believe my officers, or I'm not the one who did it. When they interrupt you to say that stuff, I'm not the one who did it. Really? We need to take a look at the fact that it's not just one jurisdiction, it's multiple jurisdictions and multiple agencies involved in this, and absolutely, it does need to be shown. Don't force me into the public where it is legal for me to record anywhere and then be angry with me for recording in public. Repeated police misconduct. I'm not the one who did it. When you're trying to tell on the people who are harming you and threatening to kill your friends and family, and they interrupt you repeatedly with, I'm not the one who did it, or why are you telling me? Well, I'm telling you because you're a mandated reporter, stupid. And I'm sorry there was a typo there. I left that typo there because when I had to write this stuff, you have no idea the abhorrent conditions I was living in. Why are you telling me? Have you been drinking? Are you on drugs? Do you have a history of mental illness? What are they looking for there? Anything they can do or use to invalidate you as a human being and your experience as a human being. Now, there's all sorts of different variants of those. You get to hear them in every single one of the situations that I've been in with cops. And with mental health workers, they want to either change the subject to talk about themselves or interject at a part where they think that if I interject right here and don't allow them to finish, then I can play stupid. But when you've been through the system, you know the tricks. Now, there's more to it than just this, too. There's some paperwork in here that I've been trying to find that's from the hospital here. But the thing is that you're trying to turn in hospitals and cops at this point. The cops are going to send you to the hospital send you to the cops. Nobody wants to do their job for a homeless person. They treat you like a junkie pretty much everywhere. You are treated so inhumanely. If you try telling on a cop, you get rubber stamped. That's if you go in alone. Now, the stuff with Marcia Estrada shows that I'm not schizophrenic. I'm not delusional. I am overwhelmed. I do have PTSD. I am disabled, and for a reason. And there's a reason that I am afraid of the police, especially as a homeless person, especially as a male. I have to be. And being disabled on top of it, I can't run away. I can't fight back. Are you kidding me? And you get to hear how these peoples and places, how many of them laugh at us, not just myself, but also Claire. You get to hear it over and over and over again. Recordings with Esther Bradine and with Dr. Danelle Boggs, who's also on my channel. There's also people who pretended to be the Rainbow. And I recorded all of those situations, recorded the evidence, went in and told the Tillamook County Community Health Centers, and they did not take it seriously. Like, hey, I'm trying to show you evidence of what's going on. Instead, you're making me post it on Facebook and YouTube, dummies. Yeah, you're supposed to be mandated reporters. Way to keep me safe, assholes. The Warrenton Police Department, James Pierce, Sergeant. Well, you got to see yesterday when I spoke with him how it was cut off. Well, we definitely need the cameras from after that. We need to have somebody coordinate with me to be able to do that, to turn in these officers. Also, I have court tomorrow, so we have to make sure that I don't lose my vehicle and all of my evidence when that happens. See, I've been trying to get a storage unit on the ground floor because that way I don't have to pay people to help me carry stuff. I mean, $800 a month ain't enough to live on. Anyway, from the hospital in November, they sent me around all the places that I'd already been. I had to turn in crimes committed against me, not just by the community at large, but also by officers. And when the officer that I'm trying to turn in shows up and intimidates the hell out of me, and the hospital workers know that they're not allowed to let him do that, and they just stand there and watch, then you want to be angry when I record conversations with other people that show that, yeah, I'm not the only victim of his. And we've got tides of change. All of these people go out of their way to intentionally do things in a way that I'm not capable. And that's never okay. They bully me into doing things that are against my best interests instead of doing what they're legally required to do. There's just too much of this. Too much friggin' evidence in here. And I have to dig through stuff that keeps me alive, stuff that keeps me mentally entertained. Is this urine or is this soda pop? Oh, good, it's soda pop. I wonder if it's still good. And floaties? No. Oh my God, this fucking sucks. I don't mean the lack of floaties. I mean my back. Anyway, I need help going through the papers, and because I'm intelligent, it's assumed that I can just magically do a bunch of this stupid stuff myself. No, I'm not able to do it myself. The resources to do these things were taken from me over slander. I was never allowed to show the truth about that slander, despite how much of it there is, because of the mentally ill tag. Pretending and insinuating that somebody is schizophrenic. Because you're in a position of power that you abused and they're trying to turn you in, how morally okay is that? It's fucking killing me, people. I got like 15 bags of evidence in here to go through. I gotta pack it up based on where it is that people are expecting me to go. Oh, you gotta separate it into this pile and that pile. Meanwhile, look at what I'm having to do it from. I wrote down the names of people who were getting on and slandering my name on the internet and claiming they were there for things that they weren't. And you just pretend that I'm crazy for saying it. But you know what? I spoke up about turning people in. This piece of paper is so old. I call one place after another. Without somebody who understands my disabilities to prevent those officers from talking over me like that or sending me to mental health because they don't want to do their jobs for a disabled homeless man, especially if he's in a state of crisis over abuse. That's what a state of crisis is. When a disabled person is in a state of crisis, it's not any different from the rest of you. Oh, wait, except that if we're autistic, we're more likely to be honest, but you don't care about that, do you? No, what you care about is that the mentally ill label can be used to hurt us. You see, I keep trying to dig through all this stuff for evidence that I've shown on my channel already multiple times over and over again. But then I got to go back through. I got to dig through and I got to try to find it again. The stuff with the Snell situation. Another situation similar to this one. The Snell family was threatening my life with Chris Kerr. Not Leslie in specific, but her husband's brother. I recorded conversations with both her husband and his brother on my channel, where they're both being nice to me. You get to see on my paperwork how, alright, they use the civil courts, or the criminal courts, to prevent me from having a civil court date. And these civil court dates prevent me from having criminal court dates. And Leslie Snell's signature is on literally all over my paperwork. She made sure that I was in prison so that she could have a day in court without me and my evidence. They rubber stamped it through to prevent me from turning in Scott DaCosta, Leslie Snell. And here's the thing, it's not just Leslie Snell. Like I say, these are the four main people, but her husband and her husband's brother had been threatening me since 2018. They also both talked very nicely on my channel, didn't they? Of course they did. See, Leslie Snell, her name is all over it. And Clinton Snell, that's her husband. This is a protection order. While I was in prison and couldn't get a hold of my public pretender, was illegally prevented from even using the phone in there. Y'all got no idea. When I was finally allowed to use the phone, how late was it? Then we've also got Joan Hanson. And she's the lady I was trying to turn in beforehand for what? For playing head games about who this stuff needs to be turned into. She told me I needed to turn it into Scott DaCosta, the sheriff. So I turned the protection orders against these people into Scott DaCosta, the sheriff. Then later on, she changed it on me. But this is Leslie Snell's signature on the crap that she claimed happened. Then we've got the actual criminal court stuff. See, all of these four people, all of them, I was very vocal about how I was turning them in for the crimes that they committed. About how I had repeatedly gone to Dual County Sheriff's Department and they had literally refused to investigate any crime against me. Why would they investigate any crimes against me? They knew I was trying to turn them in. It's a conflict of interest. Everybody knows it's a conflict of interest, but they send me to it anyway. And then there's my fake public pretender, Robert Harvoy. He literally did nothing to defend me. He just wanted to argue with me and talk over me. Let's find some more of this paperwork. Here's a signed affidavit. Which one is this one about? Scott DaCosta, that's right. With the abuse and the assaults and the threats, of course, between Scott DaCosta and his deputies, and then the situation with Leslie Snell attempting to give out my phone number live on YouTube when I was trying to make a police report, and I told her it was unsafe. The recording shows that Leslie Snell broke the law in that situation. But who do I turn it into? Scott DaCosta is just going to tell me he can't investigate, as he's done so repeatedly. Now, what was her reasoning for doing this? She was pissed off that in her line of duty, after committing felonies, well, her family committing felonies against me, that lo and behold, I wasn't going to record her too. I absolutely did. Now, this is from her boss, Scott DaCosta. And John Steller, the guy that I had to try to turn in Scott DaCosta to, all they did was talk over me. Because I went in alone, they wouldn't allow me to make written reports. And then later on, when they were forced to hopefully allow me written reports, oh, by the way, Leslie Snell. Leslie Snell. Leslie Snell. Leslie Snell. They were able to do this repeatedly anytime that I tried to turn them in. Then there's also Robert Franklin Warnick, who broke a phone. I still need to get it fixed. I don't have the money for that. But also, different Officer Holloway in Chapel, Nebraska, Sean Holloway, thought breaking the law was acceptable. And look at this. DaCosta, Lassen, Burr, Asherle. That's right. Defendant's address, homeless. Where was I living at the time? Was Dallas, Richmond. They also claimed that they would leave his address off of this if he would prevent me from having access to the internet or the shed so that I could actually have a quiet place to try to turn it in. At the time, he was in trouble, Dallas, for a crime he didn't commit. And what's going on in that situation? He had to be afraid because he didn't have his kids. They'd been taken away. And Scott DaCosta was able to intimidate him by insinuating that with the address on there, that they were going to come after him for having dangerous people there. I asked him about it later on. Oh, yeah. Sean Holloway, number 9782. I told you. Sean Holloway. And I told you. Leslie Snell, her name's all over it. Sean Holloway is one of the people that I tried to turn in Robert Franklin Warnick to on multiple occasions. Laura Nelson should have been there to speak up if she didn't. Thank goodness I recorded the stuff with Carl Snell. I mean, these things just kept happening. And all they had to do was slander my name. These are the same departments I had to go to before Natalie was killed. And after they do this to you, this is your life for the rest of your life. Well, let's make sure we show this to you. Said Sean Holloway and Leslie Snell on this one too. Leslie Snell. She knew that she had taken part in illegally forcing me into prison, that her name was all over it, and that she did have other court stuff with me, that I had been attempting to turn her in, and she broke the law to prevent me from doing so. Here's another one. Same cops. DaCosta. Leslie Snell. Leslie Snell's signature. So she was able to use lies in the criminal court that they had to drop. Oh, I should show you my award letters. They're probably in here too. The letters that say they had to drop all the charges because there's no fucking evidence. There's no evidence of me breaking the law. I was literally in prison because they were trying to hold me and have me pegged as schizophrenic. Poor guys, it didn't work. And all of it, $10,000 bond, 10% of. How am I going to get access to that money without a friend or family who cares about me? Stalking, class 1 misdemeanor. See, that's the thing, is that by preventing me from being allowed to go to my court dates, actual predators get away with this stuff. There was no evidence of stalking against any of these people, and they had to drop the charges in all 4 cases. Did you know that? Did you know that? Of course you did. You know everything. But it didn't matter. By having me put literally in prison, misdemeanors that they charged me with, that they had to drop the charges on, because they wanted to lie, use their professional positions to lie to medical professionals, as well as put me in an environment where I didn't have access to the evidence, where I didn't have access to friends or family, where I would be abused. Well, you think you go to prison and people are nice to you? No, I was in 23-hour lockdown, being antagonized nearly non-stop. Now, she wanted to claim that I threatened her. What did I threaten her with? This is what many of you horrible, horrible women do. You just make false claims. What did I threaten? I didn't threaten. I tried calling to turn in Leslie Snell. I had actually literally called Nebraska State Patrol, Troop E, to turn in Leslie Snell. So absolutely she would commit felonies. That only sounds a little bit creepy. In order to help them, you have to get actively involved. That means you have to make the calls with them. And you have to record it. Record the name of who it is. If they refuse to give their name, write down the time and date. With my videos, I have to video record it. That video recording has the time and date on it. Except for the ones that I had to record that weren't live. In order to get those videos back, because they wouldn't let me use what was recorded on that computer in Rawlins, Wyoming, that showed the situation with those cops. They wouldn't allow me that evidence, or the evidence against Rihanna, unless I pled guilty. I had to plead guilty to get the evidence of police misconduct nationwide back from police officers. All because Rihanna Ingersoll was angry because I told on her for beating kids that weren't hers. You know, there's an easy solution to that. Don't beat on children. You get to see how these people get to abuse jurisdiction across state lines. Not just jurisdictional lines within a state. John Steller, I got his number, 308-890-0062. There's also Colby Harms. There's a lot of important stuff in here. Got a lot of people's phone numbers here from the very start. Let's see. Uh, Miss Jerry, Moose, that's Brett Roloff, that's his old number. Jamie, JoJo. JoJo, that's Joanna Taylor Smith. There's a couple of different Haleys. I wrote this one in crayon because we were allowed to use crayon in some of the places I was at. Miss Shelley's number. Lisette Brown's number, 720-453-0837. She was supposed to be an autism advocate. She didn't care. There's Laura's number, 308-890-0188. Natalie Shelley, Anna Danica, and Amanda Engleiden's number. I told you a couple of professional numbers. You're welcome. Lori Dale is supposed to be a mandated reporter too. Did she do her job? No, she didn't. See, that's the thing about the term mentally ill. People just assume. And they don't assume very nice things. Now, my phone's going to die if I don't turn on my battery or turn on my car. So I have to turn it on. It's starting to heat up in here, and I don't want it to overheat.
What'd you say? You got a boyfriend now, Kyle? Huh?
What are the chances that I'm going to get a call at all today from any of these people? It's not very good. The things the cops did, including send me on to mental health, well, we also have the list of what mental health says. It's the police's job. Why the hell is it frozen up? Come on. Maybe that will. There it goes. Alright. Apparently they're having an important conversation. See how much charge I have on the phone. $13%. 13% charge. See how much there is on that. Alright, that says full bars, but usually if I can get into this, kills it. We'll see what happens. Oh, that lady killed her battery. The videos with the cops and all that, they go together. It's not one separate instance after another. These are all related instances.